thing together. I was trying to get my life together.
It's cool. So now we are live on YouTube as well with our designated platform. Guys, sorry for the little delay. We have switched locations for today. So thank you for still tuning in, on our little delayed schedule. But so how you doing today?
Shelly, working, trying to, not get scammed out of my money as usual.
I get scammed out of your money, yeah. Just an interesting story about that. But today, we figured that, with the, 2020 campaign coming up next year, and, you guys got to start looking at these candidates and really, see who you want to vote for. We think this is like a good time to like open the table into discussion about the current political situation, some of the past history, and what can we do about like the next upcoming election. So
I'm just going to tell y'all right now, I don't know any of the candidates yet.
Well, so let me ask you this. Will you be voting Democrat or Republican?
Well, I'm a registered Democrat, but they sent me like mail trying to get me to convert to become a Republican. They always send me like the voter registration form, like you should convert to Republican.
And I want everybody to feel free and friendly. All party affiliates, please come in. Even your boy Trump supporters, if you voted for him, please come into the chat and let us know what you think. Because a big thing about politics, and this is what people don't understand this about it. They just think it's like a kind of like this side or that side kind of thing.
There's so many different parties that you can vote for that I actually learned. Like when I registered to vote initially in high school, I registered as a Democrat because after taking like civics and all those different like political classes, I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a Democrat. I'm gonna do the right thing for the country. And then I was like, damn, I might be a liberal. And I never changed it. And I was like, yeah. And then circumstances allowed me not to be able to vote, but now I can vote this year. So now I'm gonna, hopefully do it. And just because you affiliate with one party doesn't mean you have to stick to that party when you vote. That's another thing that I learned too. You don't have to stick to the party that you're affiliated with to vote for.
And one thing I want you to know about this is I'm glad that you say that you're leaning more towards liberal, because people think that it's just like Democratic and Republican. And over the years, something that I really learned about myself is like I'm a little bit more conservative than anything. You know what I mean? Like not so much like Democratic, because it's just like when I look at like a spectrum of view of certain things, it's like I'm just like, well, it's certain things that I don't agree with like what certain political parties do. And I'm gonna give you a prime example here. And we all love Obama. Yeah. Obama 2009. But I'm gonna give you an example here. Under the Obama administration, I will tell you that and this wasn't any fault of his own, but the length that you could get unemployment, I know people that were under his term were on unemployment for 5 consecutive years.
Oh wow. How come they didn't do that for me?
Consecutive years. And they was just saying like, basically like, prior to his election, with the whole financial crash and everything, it's just like unemployment was like, it was at its all-time high. Again, not fault of his own, just what he inherited, but the policies that he enacted actually like, gave a lot of people like a free ride for a while. Like, that unemployment is like 60% of your take home pay, whatever. And like, some people was doing that and still doing a little bit on the side, under the table, still getting. So it's just like, and that's one thing I also seen too. If you look back at like a president's term, you can really get a sense of what they doing. Jamin, what's good, cousin? I'm glad to see you in here. So we talking politics today. So let me ask you though, what's your current stance? I know you're not too heavily involved in like politics, but what's your current stance on like our situation now with the presidency and Mr. Trump in the Oval Office?
I honestly feel like Trump has made America like a shit show, and like he's always on Twitter. Like from what I've learned in my research since I found out that we had to do this topic on politics, is that anything that they say Trump says that he does, he will be like, I didn't do it and y'all can't prove it.
It's fake news.
It's fake news. It's fiction. Like I had a whole printout of like all these arguments, even with his impeachment that is pending right now. They said that it might take like longer. And what a lot of people don't understand when a president gets impeached is that it's not like, all right, they say, oh, we're going to impeach him and then he's out of the office. It's a whole process that they have to go through. And then when a president gets impeached, it goes to the vice president. And I do not want I do not want the demon to become the president. So I'd rather us just ride it out until November 2020 and then we vote.
I'll be honest. They're talking about the process, but I really don't think they're going to do it. They're going to.
It's a waste of time because by the time they can actually do something, it'll be election time, and the only way that they'll really get it to go forward is if he get elected for a second term, which I highly doubt. But then again, America surprises me in so many ways all the time.
Yeah.
Like when I found out that Trump was our president, we were just like, what? Like I think that was like almost everybody's reacting like, what?
Yeah, it was just like it was a shell shock, and it's just like I don't know, but I think what he did is like he took like a play and ran with it. He gained major support about that, and what most people still got to realize is like,
and he's a lot of sensationalism. Sensationalism.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, I got a tongue ring. Sensationalism too. Like he made people believe all these things. Like he made a lot of promises and things like that, and it really like hooked people. Like especially with the wall, he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna make Mexico build the wall." And then Mexico said, "We ain't paying for shit. You pay for your own goddamn wall." And then he was like, "Well, guys, guess you guys got to help us build the wall now." So he bamboozled you guys.
And at the end of the day, like we gonna keep it 100. Like most politicians lie, and I'm not gonna say that they like outright lie directly.
They embellish things and they make it sound good so that you'd want to vote for them.
And some of them do actually like have like the plans behind that, but like when you running for like your campaign, especially with this term, like it's a show. And we've seen that like I mean, even with the with the Obama administrations, it's like those slogans like, yes, we can change, move forward. It's like those simple things like for like like the average voter that like when they see this, it's like, yes, this guy amazing. I'm going to vote for him. It's so amazing.
Yeah, that's why people walk around with MAGA hats on and all types of weird stuff.
Remember I told you I was at the Cranberry Festival this weekend? they had a ton of Trump stations. But I'll tell you like this. It was just I've been like really looking into like the candidates, and I'll tell you for you don't know who's running as far as the Democratic Party, it's Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren.
Which party is Kamala?
The Democratic.
She's Democratic.
She's polling low, and this was a big issue for her. Is that she's like trying to play like, oh yeah, I'm black and proud and and this and I'll run with this second. I'm gonna make sure that we good. But then we also see on the flip side that under her jurisdiction, there were more like the convictions for lesser crimes of African Americans actually increased in California. And that was a huge hit to her support because now she just looks like a hypocrite.
Yeah, kind of.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, and that's one thing I tell people, like when you play politics, like you got to be careful because they start digging up dirt.
They'll dig up dirt. That's why I'm never going to run because they're going to find all the scandals on me. I'm going to just be the most scandalous candidate ever. They're going to be like, yep. They just have to put one Facebook post. That's it. They be like, she hate white people. I'm like, I don't even know what you talk about.
A lot of people saying like support for Bernie Sanders, but for me, my issue with Bernie Sanders right now is I think he's a little too old to be running. Like he just recently had like a heart attack, and like he's 80 years old. So when I look at this, it's just like I'm like,
and who's he running with?
Democrats.
Like, no, like who is his VP? Like who is his VP?
I don't know who he announced as his vice president. Yeah, I'll have to look into that.
Okay.
But I will tell you my personal stance on this one.
Shout out to my brothers whipping it up in the back, chefing it up.
Special guest.
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you like this. Like I'm gearing towards Andrew Yang. And if you guys don't know who Andrew Yang is, if you see him up there, he is the Asian guy up on stage. And I'll tell you this, is because like when you listen to like his policies, he's not just saying, "Oh, I have a plan for that. I have a plan for this." He's actually breaking down to you like statistics and ways to like really like make these things happen. It's not just like, even though it like might just sound like a promise, it's just like at least he has like statistical data to back it up. Like, okay, this is how we would do it. This is how we would do it. This is how we do it. And that's one thing that turned me off about like Cory Booker. I'm just like, all right, and he's the governor, the House of Representatives or one of them. He's like in the Senate or something for
yeah, and he started off in Newark because I followed Cory Booker because I was all for him back.
Cory Booker 2020.
I was for him when he was mayor of Newark. The mayor of Newark now, there's nobody can convince me otherwise that he is not a gang member. But otherwise, I did follow Cory Booker. Like I was like, yeah, he's going to do great things for Newark. Like, he did change a lot of things in Newark, like, and help Newark become more progressive in a sense, like, from what it was. I mean, they did take a step forward. A lot of people in Newark probably won't feel the same way, but from the outside looking in, like, they did take a step forward versus like before. Like, the economy is a little better and more stable now. Like, now they just passed where they don't do background checks for certain jobs now before, so that doesn't like bar felons from getting jobs and things like that. And then, the drug testing thing too, like, they're more lenient on that too, so that they won't have as much unemployed people in Newark too as well. Like, there was a lot of things that were enacted that help people in Newark, like, try to be more progressive, like, they helped with the low income housing and all those types of things. Like, they were progressive with that.
That's one thing that, we got to start paying attention to more is, like, the local politics. Because I tell people like this, it's like your local politics affects your daily life more than the nationwide political.
Like, you got to check. I learned this, like, now that I can vote and use my voting powers, which I'll probably take away from you again. But now that I know that I can vote, do it. Definitely vote for, like, your sheriffs. Watch who your county clerks are, because they influence local laws, local things, like, all, like, the local things in the area, even as far as down to, like, education wise, what kids get in school, certain programs with funding and things like that. Even, like, living in, like, the capital of Trenton, like, look at the people in the offices. Like, there has been a lot of scandals and stuff surrounded in Trenton politics, like, all the time. It's all the time, like, there's scandal. And so watch who you're voting for. Look in their background, check them out and stuff like that. Like, I learned that a little bit. That's the little bit of politics that I know.
Because this is something that I actually recently learned. This is all you Chris Christie voters.
He was the worst.
He actually passed a law that put a moving tax on citizens in New Jersey. Yeah. So if you sell your house in New Jersey and you up and move to another state, you have to pay taxes on that. And just to clarify, not an apartment, but if you buy another house in another state.
Yep. And if you get an inheritance in New Jersey and you decide to leave New Jersey, you have to pay taxes on the inheritance. There's a lot of laws that he passed to make sure that they generated money from other people's wealth. Yeah. As well as, like, like, so say if some distant relative of mine died and left me $10 million, and I was like, I'm leaving New Jersey right now. They're gonna try to tax me on that. So I would leave New Jersey before I signed the papers.
I mean, and it's always ways to, like, kind of get around that. Like, if you put the money under like an LLC or something like that, like, I'm pretty sure it won't be affected. That's one thing, like, you gotta look into.
I don't know, because when I'm trying to start my own tarot business, which is another thing that really sucks too, is, like, even trying to get my business license and doing all my business things now in New Jersey, it is so hard. Like, they really make you do the most to start your business. Like, it's like I had to go through, like, 6 different PDFs on what to do and how to get my name licensed and how to license my business and how much they're gonna tax me on doing my tarot card readings and all that stuff like that. So it's really like, I was like, you know what? I think I'm just gonna do this the illegal way, and they're just gonna charge me for tax evasion. And they're just gonna do that, because this is too much. Like, I'm gonna license my name though, because I think that's the start. But once I license it, they're gonna want to take taxes off of my property, so I have to charge the New Jersey state tax for goods and stuff like that. So I have to see how much it is, because a lot of things in New Jersey are taxable, but there are certain things that aren't taxable that are in it. I have to see if my services are taxable or untaxable.
Got you. But let's getting back to it. So, like, in this upcoming presidency race, let's take the situation that Trump is running again. Who from the candidates that you see, who do you think, and this is for you guys watching too, who do you think you would feel most comfortable up there pitting against him? Like, really?
Me, probably Elizabeth Warren. Because I think I vaguely remember something about her saying something about education. Like, I lean towards more people who are into, like, education and putting stuff back into the schools, because I don't know if a lot of people notice, like, they've taken out so many programs that we used to have when we were in school. Like, like, the kids nowadays, they don't learn cursive, and they take out music programs. A lot of them, they take out a lot of different programs for kids, and that's something that we need to redirect the funding to. Like, we put so much money into, like, war and not into our own citizens. Like,
So what do you think, like, for your candidate to get your support, what do you think, like, will be, like, let's say your top 3 issues? Like, what are some of the things that
education reform, women's reproductive rights, and the taxation on middle class citizens, tax breaks for middle class citizens. because as we are getting older, we are becoming lower middle class citizens or upper middle class citizens, depending on where we work, and you get taxed differently, like as you make more or less. So the less you earn, they're gonna rape your pockets in different ways. But the more you earn, like they kind of like get you, like especially like if you're in the middle class, you really get raped with taxes. But when you get in the upper classes, they give you like tax breaks on certain things. So I would vote for someone who's more towards like the working man, blue collar class people.
And that's what we gotta look out for too, because with some of these Democratic candidates, they are what we quote unquote call handouts. And one of them what we say is like the universal health care. And one thing is just that we don't see with that. It's just like people who don't benefit from that, like with my job, like they offer healthcare to me, like through employment. So I will be, like again with the working people, we pay taxes basically like on a service that we don't use. When it was just so it's just like that's kind of one thing, and it's another thing again with the free education. It's not technically quote unquote free; it's taxable through your income, and then they use that money from just to.
And that's why they're going to raise income, because they're going to tax it more. So it's still going to be the same, but they're just going to be taking out more out of your check. Like they've been taking out. If you haven't even been paying attention to your check stubs, there are new taxes that are actually coming out of your check now. Like they should have been enacted, I think, back. I want to say in the summertime, because I noticed there was a new healthcare thing that came out of my check that I don't get insurance through my job, so I don't know why they were taxing me more for like different, like they take out more, like it was, what is it called? I would probably have to get a pay stub and show y'all, but
we not showing no pay stubs on.
But anyway, check the taxes, what they tax you, and then also when you do get a new job, check what you're filling out on your I-9s, because it may look foreign, but you may also be getting taxed more than what you should be getting taxed because you don't properly know how to fill out the form, like the tax form. So if you fill them out correctly, they're like my coworker, she gets her full check. And then she doesn't get much back in her income taxes because she gets her full check. Whereas I get taxed a whole bunch of money, but then at the end of the day, I get most of that back. But it's like, she's like, why would you need a refund for your own money? Like, why are you making them take your money? And then when I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, you're right. Why are they taking my money? I work very hard for this money. So,
well, it's basically, again, like your taxes at work. So, they offset the cost and cut you a check, next year or early next year. But, how do you think, like we've gotten to this point in politics, like you said, with a president that's like constantly tweeting? It's just like before, it seemed like politics used to be like an old man's game, and now it's just like it's really like
I think we transitioned to that when we got to Obama, because Obama was like, he was charismatic, so he was like he was the person that you would see on magazines. He would do like spreads. They like talked about everything, even down to like I remember one time he wore like a brown suit, and that was like a whole big like dilemma. So he was like one of like the most talked about presidents. So then Trump came in, and he's like, I could do this. And he ran for president before, I think in like the 80s or the 90s.
No, actually, the term that he did, he ran for the presidency prior to this, when it was Obama and Mitt Romney. He actually ran for that.
And he ran before that too, in the early 80s too. Like I think around when the Central Park 5 was going on, he was running. I think he was running for president either before or after that. Around that time frame, he ran for president back then. And he said, if I run for president, I'm not even going to take it seriously, blah, 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 blah. Like, and then look at him now. I really don't feel like he's taking it very seriously.
You know what? And this is something that I was like looking at when like during his first campaign. It was just like, I didn't think he was serious at first. I thought he was just there like, like, oh, I'm Trump, I want the attention. Yeah, you know what I mean? I thought it was like that because I seen it, again, like in the prior year, and he started that whole birthday party, like, oh, let me see the birthday kid for kid and this, that, and that. So I thought it was just like another gimmick to like get the eyes on him and boost his ratings. So like, to me, I don't know if he actually thought he was going to win.
I mean, honest to God, when I seen his face, like when he realized that he won, I don't even think he thought he was going to win, like honestly and truly. But it was one of the lesser evils. It was either between him or Hillary. And really, honestly, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I would not want Hillary Clinton to be president.
I would rather have her than him.
I mean, I would not, because under Bill Clinton, that's when most of the black men went to jail, like in the 90s, the crack reform, all those laws that the mandatory minimum, all those laws that enacted, and she called black men savages back when those laws were enacted. So no, Hillary, you good, sis. Just because you're a woman doesn't mean not to vote for you. And that's another thing. People, they don't look at people's policies either. They look at oh, that's a black woman, I'm gonna vote for her. Like, no, you can't do that. You have to look at their policies and stuff like that. That's why I said I don't know any of the candidates yet, because I have to really, like, this is my first year, like, being able to vote again.
I'll tell you, that was one of the issues that we kind of like, I'm not going to say one of the issues, but, you know, like, everybody has like their pros and cons. But when we like kind of voted in Doug Palmer, he had like this whole thing where he was trying to privatize the waterworks, the Trenton Waterworks. And it was just like, oh, you know, you gotta calm down. You know, that's publicly funded. You can't be like just selling that off. And like, but then like I look at it, like, fast forward, I'm like, maybe that might have been a good thing, because like the public service that we doing for the waterworks is just not what it is. So I mean, I like for that. And the thing is, and this is one thing, like, you know, even though like I support Andrew Yang with that, it's just like I kind of got to see him on the stage, like I seen him on the debate stage, but they never give him like enough time to talk. Like, his policies are good, and like what he's presenting to the table, I'm just like, yes, I agree with, let's say 75-80% of this, right? Mm-hmm. But like, again, when you going up on that stage, like, most of the people, they don't want to hear that. They got to hear like, I'm going to do this, vote for me. They said that was Rudy Giuliani go to, like, whenever he was up there on stage, he was just like, remember 9/11, and everybody was like, ah.
Yeah, I remember that. I think we did a Moon Axe episode on that.
Yeah. He's one of the ones that's, you know, caught up like in the more recent, you know, scandals with like Joe Biden's son, and they trying to say like, oh, he's conspiring against them, and they tampering with the election again. You know, to try to, because they see Joe Biden as like, you know, their strongest opposition, you know, because again,
they've been trying to take him down, even like saying like he's a racist and all types of stuff like that. And it's like, slander campaign happens too when you run in politics, so you have to be careful of what you believe too, like with the propaganda that they sell you in the media. Like, don't always believe everything that the media tells you. Like, even though I don't mess with Trump, oh, Instagram, you is disrespectful. You know, just fact check for yourself. Like, that's what I say.
How we always say on Yatta Debates, do your research, your own personal research on these candidates. Don't just go off. And this is one thing that I will say about him, to an extent, when he talks about the fake news, and I'm just like, at that point, he does have some sort of a point, because some of these media outlets, like we've seen consistently, do have a way of portraying a message to the masses. So like, you know,
and they try to say they're unbiased in their journalism, but it's not unbiased, because there's a video clip. There's this group on Facebook called like the Turks something, and they focus on like
Turks.
Yeah, they focus on like how the media portrays different people, like minorities in the media versus how they portray other people. So they did like a mashup of like how the media will talk about young Black people versus young white people, and then they did a reverse thing where they put the audio from like describing Black people on like white crowds, and then they flipped it. It was like a different narrative on it. Like, it's kind of like they control the narrative, and they use certain words so that it's like they can say that it's unbiased, but it's really not, because they paint the narrative
like
for
that.
you.
Like the most common one that we see, that thin fine line between terrorists, mentally ill. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just like, that's why I tell people,
or
like,
thug.
Yeah, like,
and he was just a misguided young man.
Yeah,
he grew up in a farmhouse.
So that's why I say, like, so when he talks about like that fake news, like, to an extent, he does like have a point, and we do kind of like gotta be like hip to that. We can't just like turn on the news and just say like, oh yeah, what they're saying is, you know, this is and I can trust this news outlet because I've been watching it for so many years, and they never steer me wrong. They've been steering you wrong for years.
Yeah, they really have. But I did learn something today. I learned about Black suffrage, because you know I always got to talk about Black facts. And I learned that Black men actually gained the right to vote after civil rights, and women, we weren't allowed to vote until, well, women, when I say women, white women weren't allowed to vote until like 1920. It was like August 26, 1920, they were granted the right to vote. But Black women were actually not allowed to vote until the Voting Rights Act in 1965. So it hasn't been that long since we've been able to vote as well too. And they also would intimidate people in the South away from voting. So they would do like fraud, or a way that they would have you not vote is they would arrest you and charge you. And if you have any type of charge, or like any pending like felonies or charges, like or anything, you're not allowed to vote
Yeah, so this manipulation of the campaign and the ballot is nothing new. It's just taking a new form, and we just seeing it going into more of a digital age. But it's always been going on, and it's all about securing that popular vote and what we can do to manipulate this. I don't know if you remember this. Remember last year in his campaign, it was like a sudden accident at a voting station in the Bronx. I'm like, really? Like a sudden accident.
And then people don't understand like the popular vote and the
electoral.
The electoral vote they're two different things. So like your popular vote may not reflect your whole state's big vote. Like we could all vote for, let's say it was Joe Biden and Trump, and we all collectively as a state voted for him. Our number might not be that high versus like a bigger red state that'd be like, yeah, we want Trump still, like Kentucky or one of those states. So you have to really look into things like that.
It was the same thing with the Bush and Al Gore.
That was intense. And then Florida because Jeb, but we ain't gonna talk about that
again.
Jeb, his brother just so happened to be the governor of the state that he just so happened to have the tickets miscounted. But we're not gonna go into that either.
But even still, with that one, he lost the popular vote on that one. So it's just that's part of the reason that people get discouraged about voting, because like when they see things like that, they're just like, well, if it's not really in my hands, then what am I going to do?
No, still vote. Even if your vote, you may not think your vote doesn't count in the big election. The little elections, it counts for your state, even for your county, even for as little as the township that you live in, or if you live in a city. All those connect. Like you got to remember, like the judicial system is built of branches, so it's different branches of different things, and they all build up one system. Like it's like a body. Different organs help keep the body functioning.
Yeah, so the presidency is just one branch.
Like everybody thinks like the president is like that's it, the end all be all. Like what he says goes, and no, he has to go through certain people to get things enacted. He can't say, all right, you know what, I'm gonna pass a law where everybody on welfare gotta take a drug test. He can't just say that. He has to go through a branch to see if it gets approved, voted for, if he gets the majority of the vote. Like it's a whole process. Like that's the most I learned. Shout out to my history teachers. I know y'all proud of me that I remembered that.
We have been having like issues with like the executive order, in the last kind of like 2. And I'm not gonna say like an issue, but it's just like, because I don't know, like I haven't been in the position where you can really say like, okay, this is the point in time where I need to exercise this. And like I don't know what the guidelines for that is. Of course, in like a natural disaster, like when something happens, it's just like okay, we have to do something about this now. I'll tell you one thing, and this is one thing. Like fast forward, this is like I remember George Bush was getting a lot of rec for this for his terms. But I'm just like, yo, when you go back and think about it, he had an extremely hard presidency from the time that he got elected, right? Prior to him, Bill Clinton had just signed like the World Trade Act with China, and this is like part of the reason that a lot of companies started shipping their employment over there, for cheaper labor. So he had to deal with that. Then on top of the war in the Middle East, which was actually like again started from his predecessor, his father, you know what I mean, and then coming into what was it? Hurricane Katrina in 2005.
And 9/11.
And then 9/11.
And he reading the book and it's upside down.
Yeah, he was probably like, "Yo, what is going on? I just got in office." Because like he was elected in 2001. Boom.
They were just like, you know what? We just gonna blow the World Trade Center up. All of them.
So now you got everybody. We gotta find these two terrorists. We gotta find Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden. So now you're looking at. Boom, Hurricane Katrina comes. You just like, oh my God. Like,
and then you got Kanye West saying, George Bush don't care about black people.
Yo, if that was me, I would be in my office like, yo, I can't. And that's why I was looking at, I'm like, yo, I didn't really understand it when I was younger, but like his presidency was hard. And then a few years later, while you're still in this war, while you're still recovering and you're going through stuff with FEMA, boom, financial collapse. You like, oh my God. Like, I just got reelected. Like, financial crash again. Nothing wrong with his doing, because all of those were policies that was enacted before he got
in there, and they just played out. Basically, it just played out. And then even with Obama, when he first came in, he had to deal with all the stuff that the financial crisis, and he had to go and try to help rebuild it. And then everybody's like, "Oh, Obama's going to be the black savior," and it's like, no, he's not the black savior.
And like,
he is a president. He has to do a job.
And at that point, we were already like $1 trillion, $2 trillion something dollars in debt. And they're like, yeah, he's going to fix the economy. It's going to take longer than 4 years. He's going to take over $1 trillion in debt.
Listen,
you know what I mean?
If I owe $2 trillion in debt, you know what? Just ship me off to Mars, because at this point, I can't pay that.
That's what I tell him. I'm like, yo, stop coming at me for my little student ass loan. What about what you doing over there? You know, get your money first before you start coming for me.
You worried about me over here? Yeah, you owe $2 trillion. Pay your debt first. You want to set an example. Lead by example. Be the example.
Yeah. So like, I don't know. Like, and it's always just like, oh man, he called hell. Like, you know what I mean? Like. It was just like, I don't even think like Obama got that bad. Like
Obama just got it bad because he was black. That was it. But George Bush, now reflecting on it, he really had a tough 8 years. Yeah. Like really tough. Like everything that could go wrong went wrong in that time. Like FEMA was horrible during Katrina. Like, oh my God. And then them moving the people out of New Orleans and then moving them back into New Orleans was just like.
Yeah, and now this whole time for like 3.5, 4 years, you've been preparing like, sending the troops to Afghanistan, putting this money in this war. Where's the money for FEMA? It's like, oh my God, man, it's just like we don't have any money.
So he had a rough presidency, but like I said, like I don't know. I'm gonna definitely research my candidates before I vote. I have a little bit of time now, and I definitely want to see who they narrow it down to, so that I can really do my research and see who I want to vote for. You don't have to be liberal. Like, also study your parties too and see, because when we started the show, my Instagram live had cut off, but when we started, we were talking about parties and what parties we're affiliated with. Study the different parties and what their what they believe in and stuff like that. Like, a lot of people just think it's just Democrats and Republicans, and there's so many like other little parties in there. Like, you could be independent, you could be any, like, there's so many different things that that you might identify with better than Democrat or Republican.
And again, especially when we say, to your local politics, and this is one thing, when we get to the big stage, it's just like, again, like you said, sometimes we got to pick like the lesser of the two evils. Just like, the candidate that we want to see, make it to the top doesn't always get there. They might, even though we believe in what they're saying, when it still comes down to like popularity, we kind of got to look like, all right, well, who am I going to get behind on this one? You know what I mean? Like, so.
Yeah.
But definitely do your research, and I wish I had a Andrew Yang. I'm gonna say Shelly, go Andrew Yang on that one. So, but
I gotta do my research on it. I tried to do as much research as I could, but a lot of stuff that I was pulling up was very confusing, and I couldn't understand what they were talking about. And I was like, "What is this?" They were talking about something about a whistleblower or something like that from the Ukraine or something like that.
Yeah, so that's basically like them exposing like the narrative that Trump is trying to present against Joe Biden. So like he was trying to air out Joe Biden, saying that Joe Biden's son was conspiring again with the Ukraine, and basically trying to make him look bad. Now you have people on both sides, like within the Ukraine and on the US, that's saying like, oh, basically, I'm being fired for basically just doing my job because Joe Biden's son never did anything wrong. He just worked here. There wasn't any kind of conspiring going on. And they basically want people over there and in the U.S. to keep that narrative of saying that Joe Biden's son is conspiring with the Ukraine. Joe Biden is a conspirator. We don't want him. And again, basically just trying to damage his character.
Yep. So. That's all I got. Like, I didn't really, I was trying to understand the terms that they were using. It was very confusing.
And it's supposed to be when they say stuff like that, it's supposed to be confusing. So you're just like, yeah. But basically, it just boils down to people trying to take the dirt off of themselves. It's just like.
I was just saying we should just overthrow the government. Just do it that way. Well, just do a coup and let's just overthrow the government and just restart and just do it over again.
So when we talk about that, like
France, I want to leave about France.
Yeah, like on a serious note, like if we talking politics, what would be the politics of society like that?
If we were to overthrow the government?
Yeah.
I think we should review a lot of these laws that were enacted to keep a lot of people of color like, basically kind of, we're still financially enslaved in a way, in other ways too. So like eliminate a lot of those laws. And, I don't know, I might actually be a communist, but make everything fair for everybody. And just,
and see, and this is what, since we want to go deep, because I'm gonna delve deep on this. And what they're basically saying is that these Democrats are basically like the new socialists, and basically socialists is they try to make it seem like a bad term, but basically the socialists is just people who like really care about the society, like they really base their policies and stuff over the general society. So it's not like, as opposed to where capitalism is just like, you get it how you live it. You make your dollars the way you make them, man. You build up your own wealth, and
just push that button.
and stuff like that. So but and this is the thing, that it's not either a good or a bad situation. And this is what I want to tell you. And this is the only thing that like kind of geared me away from Elizabeth Warren, is how she comes to like, the big companies like Amazon and things like that. It's just like, let's say you're in a position, right? And your tarot business makes this huge, massive explosion. And now you're selling like all these different products. You have your own brand of like tarot cards and tarot incense and this, that, and the fourth. And somebody says, hey, because you make so much money, you need to pay more in taxes. Personally, how would you feel about that? They were saying, because these group of people over here make less money, you need to pay more in taxes. And even if we say an equal tax reform, where it's just like, let's say, okay, 10 or 20% of your income. Now, let's say somebody makes $10,000 a year. 10% of their income is $1,000. You make $10 million a year. 10% of your income is $1 million.
They're not getting my $1 million.
and this is where we kind of come at the cross of the issue, when we start talking about like, when we start getting into that, like, the rich and the wealthy and this, that, and the fourth. It's just like, because I know damn sure, if I'm making that much money, I don't want to be taxed. This is something that I found out. Football players have to pay taxes in each state that they play in.
Mm-hmm.
So
if you live in another state and you work in another state, you pay both states taxes.
Yeah.
They take it out your check. So people who, all right, for example, we live in New Jersey. We're smack dab between two states, actually three, because people from Delaware come up here work, but Delaware don't tax people.
Yeah.
Who's Delaware guys? They don't tax. But if you work here in New Jersey and you live in Pennsylvania, you have to pay Pennsylvania state taxes.
That was me.
And New Jersey state taxes.
That was
and they
me.
take them out your check at the same time. It may not be like a lot. It's not like a big amount of money, but still, why are you paying two taxes?
Again,
New York, same thing. Take out the taxes from New York. Take out the taxes from New Jersey. And then when you're filing for your taxes, it's like you might not even get that back. Because with New Jersey, by the time you get your state taxes back, they done took out so many things. Don't owe no tickets or fines, because they using that and applying it to that. So
luckily I had some officers that, never really posted those transactions. So shout out to you. So, and this is what I'm saying, when y'all be like, yo, fuck 12 and this, that, I'm just like, well, 12 let me slide a couple of times. So,
12 ain't let me slide no time. The only time they let me slide was, the only time I could say it was Hamilton, when they was like, all right, you can park your car here. We ain't gonna tow it. Because towing is expensive. You look like you might,
Nah, they could have caught me with DUI, open container,
they
expired. I was just like, I'm like, thank you.
I had a warrant. I was like, what? As soon as they pulled me, I was like, I got a warrant. Just take me out the car. I was like, can I park my car? Like, just take me out the car. I ain't even going. Just here. When y'all run my name, I'm already being out the car like this. I'm waiting, whatever. And they helped me out. They ain't give me no tickets. They threw all them out. So, it was cool.
So while we on this topic of like, politics and like, reformation of the justice system, this is one thing that kind of bugged me about like the reformation of like the justice system. It's just like, while we all want like an equal and fair system, I'm like, I don't think you can stop like a racist personality. You know what I mean?
No.
And I think that's where it boils down to. It's like, even if like we change policy, or can we still see it enforced? Because because
it's learned. And even here in New Jersey, like with the incident that happened out in Lawrence where they peed on the girl, like racism is taught. It's a learned behavior. It's not something that's just like people don't wake up and be like, wow, now I hate white people, like, or wow, now I hate black people. It's something that's taught to you. Like, so for people who think that, like I say, me, just being me saying I want to overthrow the government, like it's a lot that's going to go into that. Like I would have to actually form like a group and, not get us all killed.
Because when we boil down to it, it's just like we as human beings always look for like a sense of leadership amongst the group. Like, okay, because we can't have that situation like too many chiefs, not enough Indians. You know what I mean? And it's just like everybody saying, well, we should do this. And
then a lot of people in those types of situations don't want to be the forefront of that because those are the martyrs that always end up being. It's just the truth. You always end up becoming a martyr if you become a leader of some kind of group that is the opposition of something because they're going to try to take you out.
History lesson, because I delve deep into this and, I love like the throwback. I really like read into like the Roman Empire. And this is something, back in the day when they used to do executions, it's hard to like, in that sense, pick a side because you have, let's say, the common people, right? Mm-hmm. You try to please them. You try to make sure that, everything is good and fine and dandy with them. But then you have the people in power, the nobles, the senators, like the merchants, all these powerful people, the ones that are the closest to you. And if you're not doing anything to benefit them, off with your head. Yep. Vice versa. If you sit there and appease everything to the people closest to you, your senators, your merchants, and your nobles, then you have mass chaos in the streets. You have civil wars and things like that. And it's just like, well, where do you win?
You don't win.
Well, and this is the sense. And what we see is like, you need to have like a real strong backbone for that. You're just like, no, this is what I stand for. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to break or bend on these kind of policies. But like you said, we do see some kind of martyrs in that. So that's a risk you're taking.
Yeah, and you're going to be the martyr for that. That's really a risk you're going to take. Like taking a stance on anything. Like that's why a lot of leaders do it in secrecy and things like that because they don't, one, they're not trying to get killed. And two, it's like, who can you trust? Like think about all of the parties before us in history where they've been infiltrated by informants from the government because they were trying to take out the government. So
I think our presidents that have been assassinated that spoke on some rather sensitive matters,
I just want a president that could tell us if there's really aliens or not. That's all I want to know, if they really are hiding aliens, because every year technology just gets more and more advanced. And it's just like, if y'all haven't read Behold the Pale White Horse, it's like now it's like that book was written in the 80s. And a lot of the stuff in that book, I know y'all probably heard me reference this like 6 times already, but now a lot of the stuff in that book is coming into fruition, like the internet being what it is. Like they said the internet was going to control us. Like it was going to be something that they were going to use to control us. They were like, they were going to make us think that we could have all the knowledge in the world, but also limit us too. Because think about it. We have access to pretty much all the internet, the whole internet. There's no, like they try to censor it. There was a lot of laws back. I think there was like SOPA, like different laws that they tried to censor the internet and they lost because that also goes with the First Amendment because, but we have access to all this information and we don't use it. We will sit on the internet and watch cat videos, go online, look up dumb stuff.
Because this is an age-old thing, and this is before you and I was born. More than being informed, people just want to be entertained.
Yeah.
Which is why here on Yatta Debates, we try to do a little bit of both. We try to entertain you and inform you. So you make it a little bit more relatable. But so you get to thinking like, damn, maybe I should like the post I said, start saving for your retirement to the intent.
Yes. And then, also like do research. Like if you see something online that you feel like, a lot of times people don't fact check articles they share. They don't even check the dates on them. Like they'll share an article. That article will be from like 2010 and they'll be like, oh my God, Uncle Phil just died and he's been dead for a couple of years now. And it's like,
yeah, I saw that. I was just like, wait a minute, like,
you gotta fact check.
I was at a baseball game this lady. She's like, "Oh, did you see that article that The Rock died?" I'm like, "That's not real." Like, but and like part of like the censoring the internet, and this is why.
And there were a lot of people, candidates, which does go back into politics, who were for that, and then they disappeared off the face. It was this one guy, I cannot remember his name. He was for like them really like censoring the internet, which would have affected Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Because if you guys haven't noticed, now there are a lot of copyright laws that weren't in place a couple years ago, like even 9-10 years ago. Like, do you remember we were able to freely stream our music on MySpace and all those things, all those things like that? All those things got shut down due to copyright infringements. Because think about it. When was the last time you went out and bought a CD? When was the last time you went out and was like, all right, I'm gonna go to a music store, I'm gonna go to a bookstore and buy paperback. They know now that their biggest, like even artists know now, their biggest things are streams, the internet, all that stuff like that. So they try to get their money in all ways like that. So if you ever notice, like you'll be in the car and like half of a piece of a song might be playing in the background, and they will mute your whole video because of a copyright infringement if you don't say that you don't own any copyrights to that music unless it's your creative content. So it's like now they're cracking down on creative content, and it's like, you know, now they're trying to come for our free will as citizens.
But that's why you see things you might think it's just like, oh yeah, like Instagram is letting me put music on my thing. Like, no, that's just another business transaction, because like, you know,
the more when you put that artist song on your page, story, whatever, and you're promoting, you're giving them free promo. 2, the more people watch your story and play the music and things like that, that artist gets paid for that stream.
Thank you guys for posting my music on
that. So you know, you get paid for those streams. Like they get paid for their streams, even Spotify, using all these different streaming services and things like that. So watch politicians who also speak on that too, because they are trying to reform the internet and restrict a lot of things on the internet as well too, to like, you know, kind of benefit them, because there's a lot of free knowledge on the internet. And I always say, like, do your research. Do you know most of the information that I've learned is from the internet? Like I've learned so much stuff, and I've had to fact check my sources too, because a lot of things on the internet are editorials. They're not facts.
Yeah. Again, and this is what I'm saying, Yang Gang 2020, he is like working on a privacy act for like the internet, so where they can't really collect and use your data against you. But again, and this is what people got to think, understand that if that is something that's in place, they can't use your information to target you with ads. But I'm just like, I kind of want that 10% discount on my Facebook page. But but this is kind of why, you know, like countries like China and North Korea is so cracked down on like not having Facebook and not having Twitter and not having access to these things, because they don't want American influence on their citizens.
Yeah, if you didn't know that, they don't allow those things over there. They have a whole different like
10-cent
internet like system that they like. It's like a connectivity system. And even China, they're trying to enact a law. I think it's where they base your social ranking on, like, you know, it's like a credit system, but it's based on like your social.
They had a thing. You ever watch Black Mirror?
I tried.
Yo, they had an episode about that.
Yeah, but yeah, China's really trying to do that, where they base it. It's kind of like a credit system, but it's based on your social status. So like, if you're not good, like if you're not a good people person or whatever, you get a low ranking. And then if you like are good, you're sociable, you go out, do things, and do all these things, you get a higher ranking, and then you're more likely to get better job offers. You're more likely to get
that episode.
You have to send me the episodes. I tried to watch it. And I got into like the first episode, and then I was like, it was something about an Xbox or whatever, and I was like, yeah, I can't watch this. I'm just gonna turn this off.
But yeah, and people think, like, you know, like these countries, they kind of say it's like, oh, it's I can't say totalitarianism. You know what I'm saying? Yes. But yeah,
but it's not. And honestly, China is a communist country, and North Korea is a communist country. Cuba is communist. People in America, let me put it this way, because like I said, I might be a tad bit communist. They look at communism like it is like the worst thing to happen, because in communism, it's like, all right, you a doctor and I am a homemaker, but we are the same. So if I go to get a refrigerator and you go to get a refrigerator, we can get the same refrigerator. Like, it's like everybody gets the same thing. We all get the same rations. We all get the same things. You are no different than me just because you're a doctor. Here in America, you're a doctor. You're higher than me. I'm a homemaker. You could be like, listen, I want that $1,000 fridge right there. And I'll be like, damn, I got to go to Goodwill and see if they got this fridge back here.
And that's kind of like what we boil down to saying. It's just like, in that sense, like, do we here make one job more important than the other? But then on the flip side, how do you feel like as somebody who like flips burgers making the same amount of money as like a neurosurgeon?
You know,
and this is the flip side that we got to look at, like as far as the wish model when we start.
Because then people think about it like, oh, I worked very hard to get to where I'm at. I went to so many different years of schooling and things like that, and it's like, so there's people out there. I feel like sometimes there's people out there who are smarter than some of the people who went to school and required knowledge, because a lot of life is, education, but it's a lot of street smarts, work ethic and all those things like that. I don't know why we're so tongue twisted today.
Because politics.
It's because Scorpio season has started and the demons are among us. But yeah, it's just like, damn, I lost my train of thought.
That happens to me sometimes on this show.
Well, anyway, yeah, communism it's like everybody's fair basically, like, and that's why they try to like demonize Castro a lot, because they were like, oh, Castro has Cuba like this. But did you know now that they opened up with they lifted a lot of the embargoes on Cuba and we can like visit Cuba and stuff like that? Cuba is still preserved like it was like in the 50s and 60s. Like it looks exactly the same. Like they still drive the same type of cars. It's like the same types of stuff. It's not like they're very, very progressive. And I think they're making more money now off the tourism. But because, that trade embargo really did hurt their economy, which is kind of weird why they did that to Cuba, but not to China. And China is a bigger country with more people, and they're very openly communist. Like they don't let their citizens do a lot of stuff.
Just because when we initially did that World Trade Agreement, which is like, oh, great, we can sell products to China. China is 20% of the world's population. So it's just like, oh, this is good business for us. But once they say like, oh, this is cheap labor for us, it's just like, so we take all our stuff over there, and this is where I think like he kind of like lost a lot of like his big business people when he was like putting like the trade tariffs on there, because like that hurts their businesses. So now you got people at the bottom pissed off at you, you got people at the top pissed off at you because their stocks are declining because these damn tariffs that you, and I see the effects anytime anything going with like these tariffs. I see some of my stocks go down. And I was just like, except for, my US based companies that, operate in the US, manufacture in the US, sell to the US. Those always stay on the incline, but those hurt the global economy, and it's just like, that's things that we gotta look at. And we talk about communism, we gotta look at it on two aspects. You have, like you said, the Cuban communism, and then you have the North Korea communism, which is totalitarianism, which is just like no religion, no spirituality. It's just great leader this, great leader that. You wake up this, you think like that. And you ever seen that movie 1984 or Big Brother? And it's basically they try to like really control what they think, like on a scary level. Like that's why they don't allow any Bibles or any kind of literature that's not North Korean. It's to keep that line of separation. Like this is North Korea, this is the rest of the world. It's no China, it's no this, it's the rest of the world, So I don't think I could live there. I don't know.
I mean, again, the media could be portraying propaganda. Like they were saying, like these people live in the dark and all this stuff like that. But then again, I don't know, because when people did go and visit North Korea, like they said that Kim Jong-un, he would like set it up like tours of where like it'd be like, no, we're not poor and treating our people bad, but then one misstep from one wrong person, that person disappeared. Like,
that's like, and it's like, which one? That's just like, oh yeah, let me take you around train, and I just take you downtown, and you're just like, oh, this is pretty okay, and it's just like, but I'm. And it's like,
I'm about to take you on Pacific after 8.
I don't take you on stops and something like that. You're just like, well, you're like, whoa, this is.
So yeah, no, you just gotta.
Again, so what we want to leave you off, and of course with you two Shelly's guys, do your research on these candidates. Really look at these policies that they're talking about, and then also, if they're not saying it, think about this: how are they going to pay what they're saying they're going to do? When they say healthcare for all, think about how they're going to pay for that. When they say
it's going to come out of our pockets.
When they say free school, think about how they're going to pay for that. If with the policies that they're saying, if they don't align with what you believe in, don't just vote for them because they Democrat or Republican. Really do your research on what they're talking about and what they stand for.
Or run away to Canada and become a Canadian citizen.
Hey.
So Canada is looking for people to migrate there. Just run away and say you're a refugee of the United States.
It's always sunny in Canada.
So it's cold.
All right, guys. Thank you again for so much for this debate. As always, I will link that book that you said in our Amazon official store. And
also, there is a book that is holding up Yatta's phone, but I'm gonna take it off because we're gonna get off live soon. But also, you guys should go to Philadelphia. They do have this book out as well too, where it's very informative for you guys. I don't know if anybody's online, but this also is very informative Okay, I've been reading this. It's very good. Like it teaches you about all the different laws that they enacted against us, and that are still in play to this day. Like today, right now, these laws are enacted. Like they talk about how the Me Too movement started and how, everything, like it covers everything, and basically how we can attempt to take our power back. This is like, there's so many years of undoing with that. But, Facebook, if y'all can't see it, it's called How We Fight White Supremacy. I hope the government doesn't shoot me, but at the end of the day, I'm just trying to, put y'all on. But definitely, if you have access to it, because it's really hard to get that book, The Behold the Pale White Horse. If you can get it from your library, get it and read it, and really read it. It's not like the best, like, interesting book. It doesn't have like people, things, and things like that. And even the writer will tell you, like, they've tried to kill him, and I think they ultimately did. But he lost his leg after he wrote the book because the CIA kept trying to kill him, and they drove his car like off a hill, and they were trying to kill him like a few times. So you guys definitely read that book, and you'll see, like, I kid you not, a lot of the stuff that's in that book relates to right now. And that book was written in the 80s, before cell phones were a big thing. And he was talking about how the military would take information from the extraterrestrial life and from their like crafts, things like that they were sworn to secrecy. And there's a whole bunch of secret documents that they have where they use it they use their technology, and then they test it out on the general public. Like, think about all the stuff that has like come out recently, that facial recognition, all these things, FaceTime, all of these things that we did not have 20 years ago. Like, people who were born like the 60s, 50s, they look at a lot of the stuff now and they're like, well, this little computer here can be my calendar, my radio, my all this and that. And you used to have to, just even when I was in like middle school, I used to have to walk with an iPod and a cell phone, or a CD player and a cell phone. Like, think about it. I just said it earlier in the show. I don't have no CDs. Like, I can't remember last time I went and bought a CD.
So, guys, as always, I will try to locate. I will definitely see if I can find this book, and we will have links in the description, as always, along with all the links to our equipment if you're ever interested, and for our Amazon store. And thank you guys so much for another episode of Yatta Debates.
And also, since we're still alive, check out my tarot reading business, guys. And I do readings tomorrow. Make sure y'all hit me up. Check it out. My page is I Have Shell Visions. It's on my actual page. I share it a lot, so just check it out. Come get a reading. It's very fun, spiritual, And
we will have links to everything. Until next time.
See y'all later. All right.